There's a hidden secret that most people have never heard of. This story is about how the Titanic wasn't just a random incident, but a well-planned operation with the goal of world domination. In 1912, the launch of the unsinkable ship, which was heavily promoted, was supposed to gather the wealthiest people in the world, like J.P. Morgan, founder of the biggest bank in the world, and Jacob Astor, who was the richest man in America at the time, owning 40% of the mortgage bonds in the country. In other words, he was the guarantor for 40% of American homeowners, a number that even the largest banks in the world couldn't match. The Rothschild family, along with J.P. Morgan, wanted to establish the Federal Reserve Bank of the United States, which would become the central bank. However, Jacob Astor was against the idea of a central bank, so they had to take down Astor in order to establish this bank. But since Astor was so influential, it wasn't feasible to just hire someone to kill him, as he was well known in America at the time. So they came up with a diabolical plan to create a massive ship, gather the richest and most influential people in the world, including Jacob Astor, and then sink it. In the 11th hour before the ship's departure, all members of the Rothschild family and J.P. Morgan disembarked from the Titanic. As we all know, the ship later sank. What most people don't know about the Titanic is that the wealth of all the important people who died on the ship went to the Rothschild family. A year later, they established the Federal Reserve Bank of the United States, which became responsible for the most important and strongest currency in the world, the US dollar. However, the story doesn't end here. The sinking of the Titanic sent shockwaves around the world, with newspapers and people alike mourning the loss of life and the tragic end of the unsinkable ship. However, behind the scenes, there was a secret group that celebrated the success of their diabolical plan: the sinking of the Titanic and the elimination of Jacob Astor. In the wake of the disaster, the remaining wealthy individuals who had survived the Titanic's sinking were left with a heightened sense of their own vulnerability. This made them more susceptible to the influence of the Rothschild family and J.P. Morgan, who were now free to move forward with their plans for the Federal Reserve Bank. As survivors of the Titanic were rescued and returned to land, they were met with a barrage of questions from the media, investigators, and the general public. While the official story was that the Titanic had struck an iceberg, there were whispers of sabotage and conspiracy theories circulating among the survivors and their families. Some claimed to have seen unknown ships in the vicinity of the Titanic on the night of the sinking, while others reported suspicious behavior among certain crew members. These accounts were quickly dismissed by the mainstream news outlets, which were more focused on the human tragedy and the ship's design flaws. However, these conspiracy theories were not entirely without merit. Unbeknownst to the public, there were indeed secret agents on board the Titanic, placed there by the Rothschild family and J.P. Morgan to ensure the plan was executed flawlessly. Like this video and comment below what is your thoughts about this crisis. Mysterious Minds.